Hey everyone, it's Merja here. Happy Monday to you, or if it's still Sunday, or whatever day you're tuning in, where you are. It's good to be here with you today. I would like to talk a little bit about PTSD today. Some of you know, of course, about my PTSD experiences in 2017, 2018, 2019, and on it goes. So back then I had a good 3 months of acute PTSD and then a subsequent um, 18 about 18 months of low-grade depression, kind of recovery period from PTSD. And in that time, I just basically worked through what was causing the PTSD to occur, which was from, like for many of us, childhood experiences that we've had, and just overcoming those and making sense of what happened, and really truly coming to terms with the fact that we're not responsible. It's not our fault what happened to us when we were younger, but of course it is our responsibility if and how we're going to allow those experiences to define the rest of our lives. So I wanted to jump onto this call today just to say, or onto this video today just to say, if you're struggling with PTSD right now, please know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I want to say, I know how dark it can get, and I know how dark it can get. And if you feel like there's no way out of it, please know there is a way out of it. And no matter how hard it feels right now, making long-term, permanent decisions about your current challenges that can be overcome, please don't do that. So if you're feeling suicidal, if there's any challenges that you're, having existential thoughts around ending how you're feeling right now, please get in touch with us straight away. desk@merjasumiloff.com. You're not alone. Please get in touch with us. So what I wanted to touch on today was why I was able to come out of the PTSD the way that I did. Why was I able to work through it the way that I was able to work through it? And the simple answer was that even on the darkest days, I knew that there were 4 different entities within me in how I process any given situation. There's how I think about it, there's how I feel about it, there's how things are in the sensory experience, and then there are the intuitive experience, which is what could be. When I started to slip into the PTSD, what happened was I had a confrontation with a family member, and this is often how things happen if your trauma is family related. And with this exchange, I was, as a grown-up person, trying to set boundaries that were time and time again violated as a child. And when I started setting those boundaries for the first time with these people, they of course didn't want to accept them, because in the past I never would have set those boundaries. And now, as a grown-up, I have the choice of setting those boundaries, and then they have the choice of either accepting the boundaries and continuing the relationship, or not accepting the boundaries and cause damage to our relationship. So they chose to challenge me on my boundaries, which is completely in line with our family's tradition of gaslighting, which means that my experience is not valid, and this was exactly the original injury that I experienced as a child. And of course, it's understandable that if somebody, who's supposed to look out for you, kind of reignites the original trauma, that you are likely to go into a PTSD experience from that. And I was so lucky to have realized that that my trauma is not all of who I am. And it took me a really long time to realize that. And I realized it through the 4 People Within work, what I now call the 4 People Within work, which is an inner parenting kind of approach that I created because I just wasn't happy with where I was in my life. I knew there was trauma and I knew I had to deal with it. So I started to proactively some years ago look at ways to kind of change the parenting experience that I had and then make it the way that I wanted it to be. And that turned out into the 4 People Within framework as it is right now. So somebody asked me recently, why, how did you come out of the PTSD experience intact and also still relatively functioning, even though on my worst days I was only able to focus about 2.5 hours, be that, be with other people, around other people, traveling, doing little bits and pieces of work. The time outside of that 2.5 hours I was in a catatonic state, unable to function and feeling like my mind was disintegrating. So when it comes to PTSD experience, that's not by any stretch of the imagination the worst experience. And I was able to come out of it, and I was able to come out of it stronger than I've ever been, clearer than I've ever been, more prepared to do the work that I do that I've ever been before. And I was asked why was that? And that was truly because of the 4 People Within work that I did. So just understanding who the thinker is within you, who is the feeler, who is the sensor, who's the intuitive, what are the wounding that those parts of you carry, and then attend to those woundings. So my question to you today is, do you have you had experiences of PTSD? Do you know somebody who's had experiences of PTSD? Or are you aware of some trauma that you may have experienced as a child? And where in your 4 People Within does that originate from, those feelings? Where do they originate from? If you're not sure about the 4 People Within approach, you can head on over to merjasumiloff.com and grab the free ebook that we have, and that will give you the basic structure of the 4 People Within. So I would like to invite you on this journey of mental health, of preventing severe PTSD episodes, and perhaps even preventing premature endings of life, for all of us to get to know ourselves a little bit better through understanding our thinker, understanding our feeler, understanding our intuitive, and understanding our sensor. I hope to see you there, and I hope more than anything that you know that there's always hope. And this Monday's motivation is to remind you that we're all in this together. Thank you so much for doing this work with me. I'm forever grateful.